Board games, board games, look who's here with me. Board games over there, it is CD. CD is from Wellington, New Zealand. And CD is trying to not go around a bend because in this world we try to remain sane. It's not the only thing, but I guess it's the main thing, trying to find joy in this here life. But let's ignore that and talk about it. This streaming on high, and let's talk about what makes a good stream and what's it good for you. How does it seem? Let's talk about this and let's talk about that. Let's get on and have a chat. Board games and streaming is what we're talking about. Board games and streaming, I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. It is 10 a.m. UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Bladder. And what time is it? And where are you right now, CD?
It is 9 p.m. So just, on the downward slope to bed, which is awesome. And what day is it? It's Monday, end of Monday. So right at the end of Monday, yeah.
So you're 11 hours ahead of us.
Yes. Yeah, that must be it. Yeah. So you're 10, because you're 10 o'clock. Yeah. And we're in Wellington, New Zealand, which is on the other side of the world and in the future.
Yes. Congratulations. And how is it looking? Are things still kind of a bit messed up? Have things changed?
Well, it's been pretty chilly, I have to say, but bright, like still sunny, but very cold.
Because over there on the southern hemisphere, you are, of course, just leaving your winter months, I believe.
Yeah, well, it's kind of depths of winter right now, so we're kind of, as you say, on the way up. We've had midwinter. I guess you've had midsummer. Yeah, and so it should be getting better from here, hopefully.
And even though it is the so-called winter for you, you're still wearing t-shirts in your house, so it can't be that cold.
Yes. I do have the heater on, and that is part of it, but it's actually not been as bad this year as it has been in the past, and I'm feeling like this is a bit of a reflection of global warming. I don't know if your last winter was perhaps not as bad as it might have been the last few years, but certainly the last couple of winters haven't been nearly as bad as they have been, in the past.
And there's been other things, of course, going on the past couple of years. I mean, yeah, we seem to be really messing things up. I mean, I tried not to get too dark early on, but
yes.
Not only with global warming, but also with the pandemic. Whereas, last time we spoke, your government had managed to kind of get rid of COVID, but now it's become endemic. It's just something that we've got to live with, and it's not going away. And it came back into New Zealand through, foreigners.
Through the shipping, even in the depths of a pandemic, you still got to have shipping and people, goods traveling around the world. So inevitably something can get through. We were very lucky. For about a year, we had no COVID, beyond the first 6 weeks or whatever. And then it got in, so we locked down again, and then it was contained, and we opened up again, and then it got in for the third time, and then that was kind of it. And now we're living with it like everybody else. But everybody, you have a reasonable level of vaccination, then you can do that, and it's not disastrous. I mean, even now we still have, because in that first round of COVID, we had 5 people die entirely. That was it. So for a good year into the pandemic, we had only ever had 5 deaths, which, is incomparable with the rest of the world. So I feel extremely lucky to live in this country. But now, even now we only have, I think it's 1,300 or 1,700 people who have died overall ever. So, can't complain. Oh, you've gone all quiet.
It is still a very different situation where you've got basically the equivalent of, I don't know, Birmingham, way less than London for sure, in a country which is bigger than the UK.
That's true. Yeah, 5 million across the say. Yeah, it's about as long as the UK, and we have 2 islands, which again makes it easier to isolate people. And yeah, so it's not the same, but even so, we are very, very lucky.
No, it seemed like there was a lot of strong decisions at the start, but that's not the reason that I really brought that up.
Yes.
The reason that I brought up COVID was because during that time, during the past 2 years, yes, you had to periodically pause Wellycon, which is actually how we got in touch. I think it was Ceedee who brought us in touch, who said, hey, Bez, you might want to be part of this thing. And it was a delight to be part of. And
whilst I'm lucky to have you, I really appreciated having you be part of that first trial version of an online con. It was all experimentation. We were just trying things and seeing what worked. And it was like a big Zoom, and everybody had breakout rooms, and it was really fun. And I got to know some people really well because they were helping online with various things, though, including yourself. But it was all very experimental, and now of course it would be much more professional and slick, but
I mean, it was a delight to be part of, and I think that especially there are some people who now, just for whatever reason, can't get out of their house, and now there's more conventions that are having an online component. I know that here in the UK, the Herefordshire board gamers that have these lovely events set up for charity. Last year, they tried to do the online and the real life thing at the same weekend, which was not the best decision, I'm going to be honest, which is why next year they're going to have they're going to be separated by 1 week. So they'll be able to focus on one thing at a time. But anyway, the point is that now it's back to normal for you. But also during that time, we all did a bit more streaming. I mean, for me, this was a brand new thing. You helped out with Loserpalooza, you did your own streaming, you're kind of doing so much. And so I think that brings us to today's topic. Before we get there, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about you, Ceedee Doyle?
No, I mean, thank you very much for putting the references to Wellycon. So Wellycon is happening this year in October. We delayed it 6 months because of lockdowns. But we are going ahead in October. So wellycon.org.nz. It's not that far away. We've only got, I think, 2 more committee meetings before it comes up. So that's a bit of a worry. And we're really looking forward to it because it's going to be all new branding and new T-shirts and new signs and logos and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you. And our theme game this year is, as you can see, Everdell. So yeah, that's going to be fantastic. Thank you. That's
I saw a wee thing from Jay of 3 Minute Board Games over here talking about how they were sponsoring basically so that they've got a table where they can go outside, rest themselves, and then come back and be guaranteed that they've got this one table to continue playing games on. Yes,
absolutely. So we've actually, I just had a message from one of the committee who deals with all the sponsors, and he's just said, how many tables can we have for designers? Because we might have to start turning people down. And I was like, wow, man. So it's going to be awesome because we are very lucky in New Zealand. I don't know why it is or what it is, but we have a really awesome set of game designers. It's there's several who have had huge successful games, and not just Shem, who you see in the middle picture there, but others who, Endeavour with Jarrett Gray, and other people like that. It's just, we have them coming out of the woodwork, which is fantastic. Which is really cool. Yeah. Actually, as an aside note, it makes me think we've actually had a few school kids contact us, because what the schools are doing is a lot of teachers are actually setting people as their assignment for part of the year. They have to create a game around something. Pick a theme and create a board game. And
Really
they're
cool.
coming to us and going, can I test my game with your people at Wellycon? And we're like, sure, bring it along, have a go, why not? So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So presumably, if people are doing the playtesting, I'm imagining something comparable with Dragon Mates, which also is in the kind of 2,000 people mark, where for the playtesters, it's okay, book your time, you get maybe a couple of hours here, and if people want to play your game, then they will turn up during that time slot, and people have the option at any moment.
Well, Pike's been thinking about that. Pike is amazing. He does all of that kind of stuff, and we had there's a real mixture, because you have your professional designers and publishers who have a range of games, and they want to really play test their new thing and explore that, down to, as I said, school kids who've got an assignment and they want to practice the game with people. So we have decided that people who want a stall have a stall, and they have a table, and they play games, and they have banners and all that kind of stuff. To allow for the people who are not professional people and therefore can't afford or don't need to have a stall for 2 days, we're actually going to run a prototype event. So at the con on the second day, we're thinking for the morning at the moment, on the second day, we will put aside half of the second hall, and game designers will bring out their prototypes. So it's just for play testing and getting good feedback. And you'll have a sort of a passporty thing, something like this, divided into, 8 or 10 or whatever. And you'll get a stamp at each designer's table to show that you've given good feedback on their game. And so you collect your stamps, and then your ticket goes into the draw for a prize of some sort. So yeah, it's going to work for the people who want play testing, because they get to have a show of it. They should get good feedback based on, you don't get your stamp unless you get something cool. And people get to try something new who are interested in that kind of thing. So
that would be interesting to chat about how it goes afterwards. And I assume people like Julia Schiller, who we've talked to, of Cheeky Parrot Games, and Shem Phillip of Garfield, they will maybe not be part of that and just be at their own team.
They might. So, depending on if they've got something they really want to put out there for, because not necessarily, if you go to a con, for me, I go to play games. I might have a chat with the designers, but I don't necessarily want to sit and go through a game that's not finished yet, or that's that kind of thing. So they will get the people who are really keen to give feedback to come along to that particular event.
Yeah, so like the rest of the time, maybe Shem saying, okay, I want to show off the thing that's actually been published, but then sure, hopefully people aren't going to be just going to the professionals. They might go and see Shem's new game or whatever, but there will be time for the rest of the morning for them to go, okay, I've gone here now. Let's see one of these people who's just making their new game, and let's see what ideas they've got, and let's check their thing out as well. Because again, the fact that you want to check out 8 things, it's motivating people to see a big variety of people, which is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
8 is a high number of people to play test games for? Will they be limited in duration? How will you make that work, or is that still kind of all to ponder through?
Yeah, this is going to be the first time we run it like this, so we're going to try things and see if it works.
Because I'm just in the back of my mind thinking, like, if normally, even if you've got a really short game, you're probably going to be at that table an hour, and just kind of giving the feedback and everything. And so then 8 feels like it would be the entire day, which is maybe fine, but maybe not. I don't know.
That is a good point, actually. Yeah, maybe we did talk a little bit about it. We were thinking maybe there were, short, medium, and long games sort of categorized. And if you did 3 short games, it might equal a long game or something like that. Because we were thinking about, a number of stamps that you've got on your pass. And if you did just one long game, then you wouldn't get as many stamps. So how do you balance that out? It's a tricky one. Maybe it'll be up to the designers to think about how long do you need to get a feel for the game and to go through all the mechanics to get enough of experience to understand it.
And to kind of try and say up front, this is going to be an hour or this is going to be half an hour. And maybe the stamps are a stamp for every half hour that you're at the table or something like that.
Something like that, yes.
But this is all minor details, and let's take a step back, as I like to do, and talk about a few recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights. What have been some of your recent highlights, Ceedee?
I've been really, really enjoying the place that I'm working at the moment. I've moved out of a government client, and I've moved into a financial institution, and it's really awesome. I'm just loving the people, the attitude, the openness to experiment and learn and try new things, because I'm a coach in my real day job,
and it's important that people are able to actually listen and then do what you're suggesting,
or some variation thereof. I talk about the principles behind the things that we want to see people doing, and if they find another way to fulfill that principle that's not the way that I've seen before, then fantastic, great, that whatever works for you in your situation. And it just makes a huge difference to have people who are like little sponges, just soaking it all up and asking lots of great questions. And it's really awesome. So the last few weeks I've been really loving it. So
that sounds fantastic, and I'm delighted to hear that by the sounds of it, your job is bringing you satisfaction and, fulfillment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, as a coach, it's very up and down. There are times where you see the light bulb go on for someone about something, and it's just a huge high for me. And then there's other times where I'm going like, why am I here? I'm not making a difference. It's not helping. But that goes with the territory. It's, as I've learned, it's part of that kind of role is, it's very up and down like this.
I think that is generally a human need to kind of feel like you have some impact, some degree of worth. And I think that's the thing, that when people talk about universal basic income, the people who dismiss it forget that, even if you are getting a livable income, not only might you want more money for luxuries, but also you might want to just be doing something that makes you feel useful, that makes you feel helpful, because it is a human need.
Yeah, totally. The people who, it's talked about many times in retirement, but the people who retire and then don't have a hobby or a thing that they want to achieve, or a skill of some sort that they're exploring, or go and do some learning, some secondary learning. People going to have to do degrees once they've retired. If they don't do that, then that's when they retire and die. It's especially the business people who've been go their entire career, and then they suddenly stop. And if they don't find another thing that they want to get into, whether it's gardening or learning some new skill or something like that. My mother decided that a good 10 years after she retires, she'd learn how to keep bees. So,
wow.
So she went and did courses and apprenticed with existing beekeepers, and just it's amazing to see, and now she is the one giving the tuition and mentoring to everyone else. So it's fantastic to see. It's brilliant.
Amazing. And it doesn't mean, I guess, that you can't slow down. It just means that there needs to be something that you're doing, even if it's like, okay, like, I mean, I could imagine myself as a 90-year-old, but instead of making 7 games a year, maybe I'm making like 1 thing a year, and be like, yeah, or like something. It could be something totally different. I don't know, but just something in there that, hey, you've got time to enjoy things, and you've got time to take pleasure in the cooking, and all of these things. I think even if it's taking pleasure in the process of living, that's the important thing, that you are taking pleasure in something, that you might be taking pleasure in that gardening or cooking. It doesn't need to be this grand, look at this thing I made. It can just be, hey, I'm exploring, going on different directions on a map, and no one else is going to get pleasure from this except for me, but I am just enjoying the exploration.
It's like, you remind me of a movie I saw recently, which was in the film festival, with a guy who has a bus pass, and he decides he wants to go from John O'Groats to Land's End, and he just hops on the bus with his bus pass, and it's all about his adventures and his interactions along the way. But absolutely, if you're in that category and you can do that, then hop on a bus and see where it takes you, and go to some garden, big open garden, or the zoo or something like that.
There's a whole wide world to see, and I mean, there's a whole wide world of brilliant things. But do you have a brilliant thing that you would like to share with us today? I mean,
let me think.
I'm going to, if you don't, I would like to actually go to table space. Having cleared an amount of table space on Saturday so that my friends could come over, and it's a very small thing, but just for the first time ever, I had more than 2 people. Well, I had someone sitting opposite the couch, so it was 3 of us on the couch and 2 people on chairs opposite, just that tiny amount of space, and then moving everything to the sides, just making it work so that I can share that moment with people. And hopefully I'll continue to have this spare space, so that now it's been an embarrassing amount of time since I moved here in December, and I just hadn't had that number of people over, because it can fit 4 people around this small table. But now I can maybe get a more social thing, and now we could get 5 or even 6 people potentially. And that's a really exciting thing to say, hey, now we can have a more casual social thing. And that was the thing that facilitated a fun birthday, having that table space fundamentally.
Yes, good idea. And I think the same with I don't know if other people are like this, but I tend to put things in the way if I want to remind myself to act on it and to do something with it. I've got a small piece of stone that's sitting right at the top of the stairs waiting for me to sculpt it.
Okay.
And it's the same. I had the same feeling that you had when you cleared the table, when I wanted to do the vacuuming the other day, and I had to take everything off the floor and put it over on the couch so that I could just do the vacuuming. And it actually feels really freeing. so you don't have all this clutter around you anymore.
Just having a surface. And I have to admit, if I try to do something like that, then I will end up with more and more and more things on the table. So I can't just have, oh, here's a thing that I want to do. Oh, here's another thing that I want to do, because then they just pile up. So, yeah, I'm terrible for just, my tabs are probably symptomatic of that. But let's get into the main topic. At this point, I want to remind anyone watching, if you're watching live, then feel free to chuck in some questions, some comments. And if you're watching after the fact, then just chuck in some questions or comments anyway. And, you know, I reply, and it's a pleasure to read all of them. And I will pass them on to Ceedee if we get any. But I thought, you suggested this, that we talk about what makes a good stream. And I mean, the easy answer is that it's all situational, right? It's all kinds of do what makes sense for you. And a quick hello to Timmy, who's kind of halfway between us from Nova Scotia. Hello, Timmy. And I mean, Timmy, what makes a good stream for you? Like, what does there need to be a certain amount of technical wizardry going on? Is it better when there's more talking? Is it better when there's more playing? Is it better when there's two people? What's the kind of dynamic that makes a good thing? So, Ceedee, what makes a good stream for you, would you say?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, obviously, because I suggested it as a topic. I think because I want to know what people think, you know, what in general does the people think makes a good stream. But for me, I think there's a hygiene factors and pizzazz factors. So hygiene factors are things like light and sound, right? As long as you've got good enough lighting and sound quality. Actually, people generally say that sound quality is more important than visual quality overall in a quality experience in terms of broadcasting. But those kind of things are, you know, hygiene factors. You've got to get those things to a certain level, otherwise it doesn't work. Oh yes, I think you might have frozen possibly there, or maybe I have frozen. No. Oh, some battery has run out somewhere. Yes.
No, it's not the battery. There's some major issue on my laptop for some reason.
Oh no. Okay.
I'm just
anyway, I can talk while you sort out stuff. Yeah, so I was talking about hygiene factors and pizzazz factors. So hygiene factors are, you know, sound, light, and some kind of topic or you know, thing that you're kind of basing your stream on, I think, to have those up and running. But then beyond that, you know, I'd be interested in what else people put into that category of hygiene factors. You know, you've got to get it right, otherwise people aren't even going to watch you at all, let alone be interested in the content. So I was just looking at Timmy's comments, and they like interactive streams. Yes, when there's too many viewers in chat and you can't communicate with the stream because there's too many messages, you don't watch. Yes, I get that. I think, yeah, about a few hundred is heaps. I did try watching a couple of ones where they were, you know, really successful people with hundreds and successful in inverted commas, with hundreds and hundreds of people on them. And they usually follower only chat or subscriber only chat. So you have to subscribe even to comment in the first place. And that puts me off. I appreciate it's because they've got so many people in their chat that they want to limit it in some way, and that's a really good way to do it. But yeah, having too many people and requiring that you be follower, I think is acceptable, because you want somebody who is interested in what you're doing and would be wanting to see you again. But subscriber is a bit of a higher bar.
I've not seen subscriber only chats. I've seen a few places
really?
have follower only chats where yeah, you go
Yeah.
in and then you press the button. I've also seen where you have to be a follower for maybe 20 minutes or something. So that
Yes.
stops spam bots going in. And on
Yes.
the French thing, Le Stream, I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
you've heard of this. This is a really big board game thing where they've got thousands watching at any time, which
Right.
you don't really get that in the English-speaking board
No.
game stream for whatever reason.
Interesting. Yeah.
But they are really popular, as is
You want to be able to interact with the streamer. I find the same as Timmy, that if I can't, if they don't pick up the things that are going on in chat and sort of talk with me, then they don't have to do it all the time, but they at least pick up one. Then I find I get a bit bored after a while, and I know that's very egoistic probably, but you want to be able to actually interact rather than just kind of listen. Depending what mood you're in, of course. Maybe you just want to listen. Maybe that's the
it is kind of like, if you don't have the opportunity to interact, why are you watching a stream? Because from a personal perspective, if I'm watching something live, I'll generally do a quick hello after I've been watching for a minute, or if it's someone that I already know, I'll just say hello as soon as I get there. And if the person doesn't reply, then it's like, okay, I might as well just be watching it on YouTube after the fact, and then that way I can jump forwards and backwards, and I can watch at like 1.5 times speed, which I'm not going to be shy about, is a thing that I do quite often. With podcasts, I generally listen on double speeds if I'm actually actively listening to that, and then my other activity is something fairly mindless, like facial grooming or going off for a walk or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I was just thinking, like the times that I've actually followed someone when I didn't particularly know that person or had been raiding from another channel or whatever. And those times it's definitely been about the interaction and being able to have some kind of recognition or some kind of influence. For instance, there's a music channel that I watch, actually, that one of my my followers suggested we raid one time, and I go back to him time and time again because he allows you to select what music he's going to play next, and he's really thoughtful about what's going on in chat. He recognizes people who I went in there yesterday and I haven't been in there for months, and he was like, "Hey, Ceedee, nice to see you back." And I was like, wow, and he's got 150 people watching at one time, and how he manages to do that, I don't know. But he was doing it was his 2-year anniversary, so he was doing 60 hours or something crazy, but
wow.
it was just lovely, and you feel valued, and I think that's important.
60 hours is a ridiculous amount. I mean,
yes,
I think I think I did like more than 24 hours, but I think like if you are going like the second day, does that mean that you're literally not sleeping, or does that mean that there's someone jumping in for a few hours to do backup? But
yeah, I don't know, but he was 20 hours in, and I was like, wow, I'm amazed you're even awake, let alone, and he was doing a quite neat little thing, because again, it's a music channel, so he's plinking away on the keyboard, and he said, right, when I get to this amount of was it followers or something, new followers, I think it was, when I get to this amount, then I will do this. And it was reading out in chat for 19 minutes. He would just read out anything and everything that people put in chat. So you got him saying all sorts of crazy things.
Or?
Along to the music, yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. That
Very
does
cool.
sound really fun, and I think it's really interesting when people do have so many followers and they are able to set up things. And I know that there's extra things like sounds and animations. Idol Michael
Yeah.
does a really good job of, okay, you can do these bits, but also you just things are connected, so you can just when you get points that you can just with Twitch you accrue these points over time, and that's a really cool thing that you can just go, okay, 50 points, and there's a little wow wow, just like a little half a second noise, and it just adds a feeling of empowerment. And sometimes some people will have this 2 second, can you smell what like a wrestling call outs or something, because that's what
Right.
our friend Idol Michael is all about.
Right.
And yeah, I've seen things where someone's like, okay, let's play words on stream, which I used to really get into, where people are playing along. And that's something that people get really into. Or indeed saying, hey, we are going to, as you said, make up a song based on what's in chat, or there's all sorts of things. And a quick hello to Josie, hello Finchy, and
Hello.
sorry for the technical troubles that I'm having this morning, which is why my video is probably lagging a wee bit behind my video. I don't know how it is for you, Ceedee.
It's okay. It's just skipping. So
Okay.
you know, yeah, it's
But
keeping up, but
yeah,
it's skipping.
so the other thing I wanted to talk about interaction-wise is sometimes I've seen people doing polls and kind of betting. So one person will say, hey, I'm going to do a speed cube. Their channel is all about just juggling together the speed cube. Will this attempt be better than my average or worse than my average? What do you think? And if you vote for better, then you'll hope that's how you do better. If you vote worse, then you'll spam the points to try and add extra stuff for me to do during the speed cubing.
Right.
So this is actually Tom, who's a comedian, and then during the speed cube, they might have to ring a bell, or they might have to hit a thing or salutes or whatever to interrupt them. And yeah, hello, Fernand. Josie, what makes a good stream for you? That is our topic of the day. What makes a good stream? And I'm glad that the video is working well for you.
Yes, that's a good description there, Finchy. Exactly it. That's what I'm seeing at this end as well. So it's good. Yeah. Now I'm interested in whether people feel like the all the whizzy bang things. So the confetti and the animations and those kind of things, are they what make a great stream? Is that something that is a good thing to have, and kind of is it almost a hygiene factor that if you don't have those kind of things that you wouldn't really generally watch that kind of stream? Or is it that's all just kind of icing on the top of the cake? What are people's thoughts on those kind of extras, or having the little character in the corner that you can use points to feed or to clothe or whatever it is, are those the kind of things that you like? Or again, is that if it wasn't there, you might still watch that person, but it wouldn't be as fun? How does that feel? What's your kind of thinking about that? Hey, Dutch.
And yeah, before we go to hello, it's lovely to see you. And before we go to what everyone thinks, I will say that for me personally, having that wizzy woozy type stuff, it is going to get me excited about the stream. It will get me starting watching. And certainly in the early days, I was like, oh wow, I'll really want to get enough points to try and ask to lose us to do some sort of comedy show, especially for me.
Right.
But now that I've even been like lurking enough to get those points, it's like, yeah, I'm not that fussed about it. Like, I feel like it is about the content. I need the audio to be working, and it's weird talking about all the hygiene and the technical issues while I'm having all these technical issues going on, and I'm having to stream from my phone because my laptop has now turned off, and there's major technical issues going on behind the thing. Josie says, a good stream is interactive. I want to feel included. The conversation and the content needs to be engaging. And I think that's a key thing. Like, there needs to be something there. Yeah, whether it is, okay, at some point, maybe you become intra-person, but even if you're my friend, I want that conversation to be kind of interesting. I don't want you to just be, yeah, actually, you know what? Knowing what you had for breakfast might be interesting, but I want you to tell me that in an interesting way or in a relatable way or something.
Right. Yeah, I wonder.
Josie says, I don't care about the extras. Sometimes they can actually be too distracting from the topic, which is
yeah, that's true. But I agree with
saying,
I agree with what you were saying, Finchy, about the interaction, and you're the second person to say that. So I'm wondering if actually that's a hygiene factor. If people don't do that much interactiveness with the people in the chat, then is that even, like, is it even, as you said before, why would not just go and watch YouTube if you're not getting that kind of real-time interactive thing going on? Yeah. So sometimes feel like having to collect points, and then only those with points can engage, which makes it feel a bit like a closed club. Yeah, that was, I was talking a little bit earlier about people who have subscriber only chat, and I just randomly went into Twitch's kind of, I think it was just cool. It's just chatting. I think it was in that category. And I was like, okay, I'm going to see what some of these, these ones with thousands of people watching are like. And they tend to be, very much, there are some real bimbos on Twitch. Oh my heavens. And it's very much about getting people to use their points and to use cheers and things like that. So I feel like it's very much a business for those big channels, and it's not the same kind of experience that you'll get in a nice little channel like this. Oh, I think you're frozen again. So
I think that's okay. Like, I mean,
oh no, disappeared.
Yeah, this is
oh dear, we're getting half a sentence and then it's disappearing. So oh yes, there's a lot of boob. Absolutely there is. Yes, and they can't be real because it is a business. It is how they make their money. It's how they actually earn an income, and therefore it's different from an interactive thing like this where people are interested and it's just for fun and it's just for having a bit of a chat and a debate and having some interactive time with other humans, even though it's remote. So yeah, I do feel for them that they have to kind of work that way, and they turn into that even if they didn't intend to in the first place, which is a real shame. But I guess then there are other ones like the ASMR channels, which are not about boobage and long hair and those kind of things. So those are other ways of, that's still how they earn their money, but it's not so much on the looks of things. It's more about the content, and I guess there's a skill in that. They're marketing their skill. So yes, yeah, I'm with you, Fitchy. It's totally the smaller channels, and I think who was it earlier was saying about Timmy was saying about the bigger channels. They kind of lose that closeness, that touch, and once you get beyond, I don't know, a couple of hundred people, then it's almost impossible to have that personal touch to things. Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoy the ones that are around the sort of 30 to 50 mark. There seems to be enough people in the chat to have a bit of variety and have a bit of kind of good conversation going on, and a few side jokes and things, but not so many that you get lost in the crowd, Yeah, so pretty good. So there's a lovely one you viewed who does focused work sessions. Ooh. So you listen to music, get on with your work, and then take 10-minute breaks at the same time. Oh, that's kind of cool. I know it was a coach that I knew of who was, she kind of set those things up during the pandemic because people were working from home, but they were working alone. And she set it up as, let's have a group work session in an afternoon, and something very similar like that. So you could just have those people there, but you're not really talking. You're getting on with what you're doing, and then, as you say, having a break and having a chat. But you can just make an observation and go, "Hey, have you ever noticed that?" Or if you're stuck on a question, has anyone thought about or got any answers to X? Yeah. So that sounds really good, actually. And then, of course, there's all the ones like there's one that's the kitten channel or something that I follow, and it's on all the time. I will just I think it's called the Kitten Clubhouse. Yeah, Kitten Clubhouse. And they just have a camera on their spare room, they're a cat charity, so they have cats and kittens in the spare room that they're fostering, and you can kind of interact with the kittens. There's a thing you can use your points for, which will fire a ball out across the room and hopefully have the kittens chasing it. But those ones, there's no chatting or anything like that. It's just kind of whatever happens in the room, and it's good ambient background, stuff that's kind of there and live, but not requiring any of your input to enjoy, I guess. Yeah. So I guess there's a few channels like that. And if you find one that you like, then
I don't know.
Oh. Are you back?
I don't know how my audio is coming across, if it's jumpy at all, or if people are able to hear me.
I heard bits of that, yes.
Can you hear me?
Oh, so what I got out of that was, can you hear me? So it's like half sentences.
Thank you for keeping this going, Ceedee, and
no problem.
This gets back to the hygiene thing, which is kind of funny.
Right.
Important thing is
yes.
that I think
Here's a question I have for you. How important is it that the streamer remembers your name the next time you come in. Because that is a skill I do not have. I am really good over a short period of time. So if I'm delivering a training course, for instance, over the course of that 48 hours, I will know everybody's name and not have to refer to the attendees list because I know who you are. But if I see you a week later, I am probably not going to remember your name. A, because you're out of context, and if you're just walking down the street, then I don't have that context. But B, because I'm just terrible with long-term memory of names. So how much does it annoy people? Because names are something special. We tune in to our names. So how important is it that, you know, when you pop in a little bit later and your handle is not your name, obviously they can refer to your handle, but how important is it that that person remembers that, you know, that's Wendy behind that, or John, you know, because that's one thing I noticed the losers are really good at. They are very, very good at getting to know the person behind the handle and remembering. I just don't know how they do it. Yeah. It's nice if they remember you, but it's more important that you remember maybe the context or content. Oh, okay, that you remember the context, that the streamer remembers the context. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm terrible. If there's you know, one or two people who were regulars on my channel, because I haven't streamed for a long time, so it's nothing to do with them. It's all to do with me. And you know, I got to know them obviously pretty well. But if somebody had come in like early on, I remember somebody who turned out to be Somalian or something. They were in Somalia, and we had a really good chat, and then they never turned up again. But I would remember that conversation because it was really unusual to have somebody who in Somalia, who, which is a place that I only associate with pirates, and modern day piratage, actually just having being in the chat and chatting. So that person I would remember, but there's so many that pop in and come, once or twice, and then if they came again a few months later, I would be none the wiser. It could be the same person and I wouldn't have a clue. So yeah. Okay, amazing if they remember who you are, but it needs a powerful memory. It sure does. Yeah. Yeah. As I say, I don't know how the losers do it. I think it's amazing. So yeah. All right.
I mean, if you've got regulars coming in every time, it's definitely easier. And I know at the convention, if I'll struggle to remember people, but there are a few people that, it's Claire. Oh, and then, maybe 3 or 4 people I'll remember. And if it's been every night, I think that's very different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Cool. I've got a couple of other questions. Well, a question here. Is it possible to talk too much? Is there a time or a situation where you wish they just talked a bit less? I can't think what situation that might be, but I'm interested to know if anyone's come across that. Maybe, Finchy, in your work sessions, you probably would have wanted maybe somebody who didn't talk so much to be on the other end of that. But yeah. And what I've thought is interesting is people don't have to talk really fast. Like, to be entertaining for a 2-hour stream, you don't need people to be talking all the time. And it's good at the start because it brings people in. But I wonder about people who come halfway through and you slow down to normal pace. And then is that enough to lure people in and get them, being part of sticking around, being part of the show? So, yeah, you only talk too much when you're high. Fair enough. It's been a few years since I did that, so I think I tend to slow down when I've been smoking or whatever, but I wouldn't know anymore. It's been too many years. So yes. And what about I don't know whether to call you Farah or Faranak, maybe Faranak. So Faranak, when you're watching a stream, is there times where you've just gone, this is just too much, I can't cope with this amount of talking? Yeah. If they're playing a game with viewers, sometimes they need to give people more processing headspace. Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Is the point there, Josie, that you want, if I'm playing something, you want me to go a bit slower, and if I'm asking you for inputs, then I need to, rather than just waiting 10 or 20 seconds, I need to give you like a minute for that move? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Because I think that just explaining what you're doing as you're going along is definitely a key skill in keeping people updated. And by the way, just from a technical point of view, I deleted Instagram from my phone and my computer isn't turning on, but hopefully the extra space, and I turned it off and turned it back on, hopefully this will kind of work a little bit better. But yeah, this is really messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can hear me properly.
Yay! We've got you back. Nice.
And Josie, I'm glad to hear that I'm about the right place. Thank you for letting me know. And Faranak says, I'm totally new in watching streams. And I actually got in touch with Faranak because I think in a Facebook board game group, it was like, oh, wow, you're doing things with school kids. You're in Thailand. I'm planning to go to Thailand. It would be really cool to chat. And maybe when I come to Thailand, we'll still be there. And for me, honestly, having guests is kind of a way of getting to know people, because I wouldn't have gotten to know you, Ceedee, without, well, I would have gotten to know you somewhat just through being at your virtual convention, but maybe not as well, because we wouldn't have gotten to chat and have that live interaction.
True. Yeah, exactly. I've learned a lot more about you since then, and just watching the streams and enjoying chatting in the chat, yeah. So, yeah, you're right.
And back in the day, before we were back to normal, rather than Fridays being 10 minutes on my way to playtest, which was always a quick thing, back then it was Friendly Friday Forum, and everyone joins in, and Ceedee would sometimes join in for singing, which was really fun.
Yes, that's true. That was a walk by Merlin, my cat. He's just off to the side now.
It's interesting. Josie says, I prefer calmer streamers, people who are more slow-paced, and where I find that those that are hyper and fast are just too much for me, and I have a tendency to not watch them too long. And I think the key thing is that whatever you do, you will find people who like that. I mean, you will find people who like hyper stuff. You will find people who like calm stuff. As long as you focus in and you make a point of sticking to what you do.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, you do a variety of streams, but they have a common theme, in that it's mostly you talking about something, a topic, often with a guest, and you're kind of talking at the same pace and the same kind of intensity, I guess. I think maybe if people were doing quite different things at different times, I think that might be confusing for people, and they might need to have different streams if they were doing quite different intensity activities, and do them at different times. Yeah, don't know. I've only just thought about it, so yes, cool. I mean, I mixed it up a little bit when I was doing streaming.
If there,
sorry, you go. No, it's still
there's
cutting in
certainly
and
a desire to be consistent in what you're doing. Yeah, this is really problematic, both of my devices, and it's fantastic that StreamYard does work on the phone, but
yeah,
both of my devices are messed up. Ceedee, it's been a lovely chat, but I mean,
it has.
I would want to finish up in a wee bit anyway, and thank you so much for keeping it going, bearing with us. I'm really sorry. I'm really hoping my laptop turns up back on.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that too, because that would be terrible if you've lost that, and it doesn't come back. Then that's no good. No. Maybe we should just go to final thoughts and wrap it up. Oh dear. I'm trying to remember what your final thoughts thing is. Thank you, Vinci. I can't remember. I can remember the end of show song, but I can't remember now. That's going to go out of my head as well. But I can't remember that. You normally have like a little highlight, not recent highlights, but the equivalent thereof at the end of the day. Okay, question of the day. Right, cool. Go ahead, fire away. What's your question? Bring it on. What's your one big question that you've still got about this whole topic, or anything that we've talked about today? What would you like to know? I'm pretty open with anything that you want to talk about, although I reserve the right not to answer the question if it's something I don't want to. Favorite board game? Well, that is a big question. I have several favorites that are perennial favorites. So I definitely am a Galaxy Trucker girl. I love Galaxy Trucker, and I will play it at the drop of a hat. I also really like Sagrada and Azul, but I always have current favorites. So my current favorites are Arc Nova and Draftosaurus. So those are pretty cool. I just got the the Royal Collector's Edition of Mad King Ludwig. That came in the mail. I'd forgotten. It's been so long since I did the Kickstarter. Wow. I'd forgotten entirely that I'd even got it. So it was a very pleasant surprise to open the box. I actually thought it was something else that I have sponsored more recently. So when I opened the box, I was surprised. It was not what I thought it was. But that was fun. I opened that on stream. And duck or chicken depends on the dish. I love Peking duck, and I love it when it's in the pancakes with the plum sauce. But overall, I'd say chicken, because duck can go dreadfully wrong as well. It can be totally overdone and very stringy and dry and horrible if it's not done right. So chicken. Beetroot or turnip? Turnips I do like, but
had
they're
bad
very
chicken.
hard to get right. So it would have to be beetroot. Interestingly, when I was in the UK, I was in the UK until I was about 17 years old. I didn't know what that it was possible to get fresh beetroot. I thought it came in cans. And it wasn't until I came here to New Zealand, where they throw beetroot into every burger, that I learned that it's a real thing. It's actually a vegetable that you can grow. So there you go. And now I grow it myself. Being too hot or being too cold? I left Perth, Perth in Western Australia.
For me, definitely too hot.
Oh, you're back? No? Yes? No? I think you said definitely being too hot. Yeah,
I don't know.
When
can you hear me okay? Am I being jumpy?
I can hear that. Yes, I can hear that bit now. So yeah, when it was too hot, in a week in 1 week, a few weeks after Christmas, they had 3 40-degree days in 1 week, and I was out of there. That was too much. At least being cold, you can get warmer, but being really cold is terrible too. I was in the Air Force and we had an exercise where we were out in the forest in snow that was 3 feet deep, and we only had our clothes on us and what they call a hutch, which is just a canvas kind of sheet, not even a full tent. And that was, I did not sleep that entire night because I was so cold. I've never been so cold. So yeah, being too cold is dreadful as well. This is why I live in Wellington in New Zealand, because my family lives in Brisbane, and even there it's too hot in the summertime. So Wellington is great because for the 2 or 3 weeks that it's actually cold, and once or twice a year it gets to 0, I can cope with that. And I know that if I have that, I then appreciate the summer. Whereas in Brisbane, I loved the winter, but because we didn't have a proper winter, the summer I didn't appreciate at all. So yes, exactly. Middle temperatures all the way, because yeah, no. It's just too hard. Yeah. Nice. Timmy, you got any last minute questions?
So at this
Farah,
point,
you got anything? Right, you go. Over to you. Yes, that was the one. That was the one I was trying to remember.
Ask everyone, over to you. What are your...
Over to you.
So I am going to... I have a personal appointment at 12:30. I'm hoping that I get my laptop working. If I don't, then I can't post stuff. If I don't, then I can't do other work that I have to do. Yeah, I might have to go to the store to actually try and get this sorted, because I don't know what's up with the laptop. But yeah, fingers crossed it's just a dodgy power cable or something, and it just overheated. But we will see. Maybe it's too hot for my laptop.
That is possible. Yeah.
And you are going to sleep, Ceedee? And I will try to quickly recap and wrap up before we finish up. So we talked about winter, global warming, COVID, professionals versus school kids, Wellycon,
Oh, it stopped halfway through again. just after you said school kids. Oh,
I
Bez,
do like.
I do feel for you. This is not easy. Oh. Well, you do a much better recap than I do, but yes, we talked about Wellycon, and then we got into something entirely different than the topic that we were going to talk about. Conventions and having designers there, and how to run prototype events and that kind of thing. And then eventually we got onto the topic and we talked about we talked about hygiene factors, pizzazz factors, whether it's important to remember people's names. You're back. Okay, good. You do a much better summary than I do. You must make notes or something. Do you make notes?
I do make notes, and yeah, on my wee bits of paper.
Right.
Don't know if you can
Yeah,
see that.
I wouldn't remember all of that.
I am going to, if
right.
you want to find stuff by everywhere, Ceedee, can you tell people where to find quickly?
Yes, so your Stuff by Bez on Twitter, Stuff by Bez on Facebook and YouTube, and basically anything Stuff by Bez. Thank you very much. Yes, wellycon.org.nz. That's coming up in October, and I sporadically stream on Twitch and Ceedee on board. I am not a regular streamer at the moment, but I will get back to it. Hopefully not when I'm retired. Oh, that's what we talked about as well, retiring and not having some kind of hobby, and there being a universal income. People will still need to have a reason, a goal in life, and that they won't just sit on their bums, and that they will actually do something productive. So, yes. Cool. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Bez. I really appreciate having you
for all the technical
me too. I'm very sorry for it. It's very hard when
Thank
you're
you
trying
for keeping this going
cool like this. You're very welcome. Oh dear.
But lots of love, and for now, bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Song.
Goodbye
Bye
song.
bye. Thank you for joining. Bye bye. Bye bye. This is the end.
Bye. Show. Bye 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye.